At this point, I want to bring in Jamil Jaffer. He's the founder of National Security Institute and joins us now. Why was this attempted break-in at Quantico kept quiet for 2 weeks?
Well, it's a great question. We don't know why they kept it quiet this long. We know that these two individuals have been provided to ICE. They're going to be removed from the United States. They're here illegally. The real question is, what were they doing there? Why were they trying to get onto the base? And when they're directed to a holding area to be further investigated, why did they try to go through the barriers?
This is precisely the kind of thing that worries everybody. With all these people coming across the border who are unvetted, we don't know where they are, they might be terrorists.
That's exactly right. And, you know, just last year alone, over 160 known or suspected terrorists. These are the people actually on the watch list. On top of that, another 30-some thousand aliens from special interest countries from the Middle East, North Africa, and the like, where terrorism is a real problem. These are large numbers that we're seeing at the southern border. This isn't just migrants from Central and South America.
Let me just suggest this. If there is a terror incident inside the United States and it's linked in any way to illegal migration across our southern border, President Biden's toast. Would you agree with that?
It's going to be a huge problem for sure.
Got it. Moving on. Israel announced it's going to deploy more troops to Rafah. They're not heeding Biden's warning. Are we in a standoff with Israel?
Well, look, the Israelis have held off going on a full ground raid to Rafah. They're going for very specific targeted strikes. They took out a Hamas training facility where they were training for work against the Israeli Defense Forces. So they're being careful about the work they're doing in Rafah. There are about 1.5 million refugees that have gone there from the north. So Israel's being careful and targeted what they're doing. At the same time, they've got to extract Hamas from the situation. There is apparently a potential deal in the works for Yahya Sinwar, one of the leaders of Hamas, to be gotten if Israel's going to Rafah. There's some discussion about that. We'll see if that develops as well.
What do you mean, this leader gotten if the Israelis go into? Killed?
Well, we know where he is, right? We know he's there, and the question is, will they be allowed to go after and get him, right, and take him out? And we may have intelligence on where he is potentially an offer.
Do you know if we know exactly where this leader is?
Well, I don't know whether we know or not. Both us and Israel have very good intelligence into Gaza, but it's not precise. And the question is, if we do have intelligence, would we trade it, and would Israel make the deal to get Sinwar in exchange for not going to Rafah? And then the question really is, what about the hundreds of hostages still remaining in Gaza?
So it is a standoff. It's just going on for some time.
Somewhat of a case, yeah. That's right.
I mean, turn my attention to Xi Jinping and Putin. They held this summit in China yesterday, and they reaffirmed their, and I'm quoting now, no limits partnership. It's worth noting that these two have met 40 times. That's not widely known. How far does their cooperation go?
Well, it's pretty extensive. You think about what has happened since we put sanctions on Russia. 90% of microelectronics that Russia is using in the war are coming from China. They've upped their oil supplies by 25%. They're buying 30% more goods in trade, $200 billion plus in trade between China and Russia. This is a very large developing partnership, but it doesn't stand alone. It's Russia, China, Iran as well, North Korea also. All countries very much opposed to the United States and our interests.
What's the opinion of foreign leaders? First of all, our rivals and enemies. What's their opinion of us? And what about our allies, their leaders? What's their opinion of us?
Unfortunately, they're very similar. Our allies don't trust us, and our adversaries aren't afraid of us.
Is it that bad? Our allies don't trust us?
They don't know that we're going to be there for them when the chips are down. And that's the real problem. If they don't know that we can stand by them, time and time again, they're going to look elsewhere. They're going to build their own capabilities.
Taiwan can't look anyplace else.
They can't, and yet, do we know whether we're going to defend Taiwan? The president said 3 times, we'll send troops. Every time, 5 minutes later, Jake Sullivan goes to the podium in the White House and says what the president meant was, we'll send weapons like Ukraine.
Look, you're a security guy, and you run an institute on security. Is Ukraine about to lose to the Russians?
I don't think so, but they're definitely not winning right now. If we want them to win, if that's our view, we need to double down and put a lot more resources into this fight. By the way, these are resources being spent here in America. We're buying American weapons, training using American workers to build these weapons, and then sending those weapons to Ukraine. So while it's true we're sending weapons to Ukraine, a lot of that money is being spent here in the United States, Stuart.
Okay, got it. Jamil Jaffer, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
See you again soon.